Hey everyone, it's Joy here. Welcome back to my channel for another card making video. I have two cards for you today using new products from Spellbinders. We're going to be doing some die cutting and some Glimmer Hot Foiling. So this is the fresh picked vase bouquet die, and you have flowers, leaves, and a vase. And I want to start by die cutting my vase from a gold mirror cardstock. This is just going to be a very simple, pretty card, but I do want to add a little something extra to the vase. I'm going to bring in Distress Crackle texture paste on this gold mirror cardstock. I thought it would be just to try it out and see what I thought. I'm also die cutting the centers of the flowers from gold mirror cardstock. The flowers themselves will be die cut from just regular old white cardstock, so I'm using some Nina cardstock. And then the leaves will be die cut from vellum. I was just trying to think about what it is I wanted to die cut here, what I wanted to do next. And I'm using the background, or excuse me, the background is going to be Peacock cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. So here's that crackle paste. I'm going to do a nice thin layer over this, and I'm doing it kind of messy. I don't mind that some of the vase is going to be shown. I want this to feel old, but it has this really beautiful stuff underneath. So I'm going to set this aside to dry, and it's going to get nice and crackly, and we're going to have this beautiful vase. So I'm going to get that cleaned up just with some water really quick. And like I said, there's two cards. So this first card will be die cutting. The second card will be it's a glimmer foil, and it has a coordinating stencil, which I think is so fabulous. And it turned out stunning. It's a really beautiful image. It's the Glimmering Peonies, and I love how it turned out. So I'm using my sort and stack trays. I've really been loving these, you guys. This is from scrapbook.com. These are the small ones. I have two small ones and two large ones, and I actually want to get a couple more small ones because I think I tend to use the smaller ones more. But it is perfect to pop all of your die cuts in, especially if you have little pieces. And sometimes I separate out what die cut goes to where, and I put that in different little sort and stack trays. So here's all of the leaves and stems. I'm going to die cut those from vellum. I really wanted the background to pop, but these flowers and the vellum and everything to be softer. So it's going to be white and vellum, and then we have that vase that's really kind of pretty and crackly, and adding a little pop of gold for the centers of the flowers. So that is my idea for this card. I'm just going to use my Pick Pro tool. I know I've talked about this tool a lot, you guys. I really love this tool. It is so nice. It lifts things up off of my magic mat because vellum likes to stick to everything. It's just fabulous. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of ocean ink from Simon Says Stamp to this Peacock cardstock. I want the outer edges to be a little bit darker and the inside to be lighter, just to give it a little extra something. And it is super soft. I don't know that you could, once I have all the images on, that it's like really noticeable, but I know it. Now that my vase is dry, I'm going to pop that down with some foam adhesive, and I'm going to add the tiniest bit of glue on the bottom pieces here because they will tuck behind the vase. I want to get these laid out, and then we can add the flowers. This is really a super simple card, but if you think about the color combinations with this die set, what you could accomplish, how many cards you could make out of this, and they would just look so different between the background and the leaves and the flowers, even the vase. I just think it's so pretty. But I really wanted to go with just this softer look, but with a really bold, pretty background. So let's get those guys in there. I think I have a couple more pieces I have to put in, a couple more stems, and then we can start adding the flowers. I am going to add foam adhesive behind the flowers. This is also going to help that vellum adhere down because I will make sure it lands on top of those little vellum pieces. So that flower is going to go on that stem, and we're just going to work our way around adding little bits of foam adhesive to the flowers. This flower here, this one and its matching partner, I did put on backwards, but I do fix that. I realized I put it on backwards once I had to put the centers in, but I feel like it looks good this way too. But I guess you could do whatever you wanted. It's your card, right? So let's get these guys in place. And I am looking on my phone at Spellbinders website to see how this is laid out, and it's super simple to figure out. because there's just a way that this flows to fit your A2 size background, and so I didn't want to mess it up. I also, though, do feel like you could do less pieces. You don't have to make it quite as full, and I think you could totally make different looking cards without adding every single die cut piece. That was my original thought when I started laying it out. I thought, what if I just do part of it? But it just looked so pretty. The vellum looked so pretty on the background that I opted to use all of the pieces. So as you can see, this is starting to come to life and it looks so pretty. I do want to say, and I don't know if you guys will notice it on camera, but that crackle paste on the gold mirror cardstock, when you kind of turn it in the light, the gold mirror still shimmers through that crackle paste. It's pretty cool. Let's add these smaller flowers. These 3 smaller flowers are the only flowers that are not popped up with foam tape. So this is where I realized, once I got the centers on, I'm like, what's wrong with these flowers? They were on backwards. So I'm just going to turn that around and place that down. And then we can pop our little gold mirror centers or flower centers right on. This is the Pick Pro tool. So it has your little grabby end and then it has your little poiky end. And it's so quick to flip it around and use it. It's just all in one tool. That's why I love this so much. So especially for stuff like this, you could put it down and if you need to slide it over, you just use that other end. And it works out great. My sentiment says, "You are not alone." I'm going to pop that up with foam tape. This is from Tailored Expressions. I think this is their Friendship, Simple Strips Friendship or something like that. And I had some of these on my desk from another project. And so I just thought, oh, that's a great sentiment for this card. I'm going to add some gold foil confetti and then we can get on to our second card. But look at how pretty that is. Okay, our second card is the Glimmering Peonies, and then there is a coordinating stencil. I have a piece of 120-pound cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. I'm actually going to foil this image on an angle. I don't want it straight up and down. I kind of want it to go off the edges and a little bit on an angle. I'm creating my hinge here with some low tack tape. I'm actually using some washi tape from Lawn Fawn. I'm using speckled Aura foil. I just thought this would add a little something extra to this foiled background. And you're going to do the pretty side of the foil touching the glimmer plate, and then I can place this on my hot foil machine, my Glimmer Hot Foil system, add the plates to it, pull it out of the docking base, run it through my Platinum 6, and then I can just gently peel back the foil and we have this beautiful foiled image. Let's start stenciling. So I think there was 5 stencils, I don't remember, but I am going to start with number 1. They are numbered, which is really, really nice, and they line up beautifully. And I'm going to be using a purple, a pink, and a teal color. So I'm going to start with the lilac. So I'm using lilac and orchid. So lilac's the lightest color. Then I'll be using carnation and peony. Carnation is the lightest color. And then I'm using seafoam and ocean, and seafoam is the lightest color. So I'm starting with the lighter colors, and I'm ink blending with small ink blending brushes from Simon Says Stamp. And as you can see, I'm adding it darker at the base, lighter at the top. That's just how I like to ink blend. You can ink blend however you like, but I like to add a little interest that way. Here's that light color seafoam, and that's our first stencil. Let's line up our second one, and I'm going to go with the darker colors now. So orchid, peony, and I don't know if I use ocean on this stencil, but those are the 2 purple and pink colors that I want to go a little darker with. I'm going to make sure I get nice and lined up. And then again, a little bit darker at the base and really light-handed blending. So I'm heavier handed at the bottom and then a little bit lighter handed towards the top of the images. This is that darker pink. And then we can just blend that and get a nice, good little coverage. And you can just see how these flowers are starting to come to life. They're so pretty. Let's go with stencil number 3. Yeah, I think there's 5 stencils. And I'm on an angle because I hot foiled my image on an angle. So if you did it straight up and down, obviously your stencil would be straight up and down. I'm going back to the lighter colors again. And obviously you could do this however you wanted to do this. This is just how I wanted my images to look. You could use one color per flower and blend darker and lighter. I am doing the darker teal color. This is the ocean. I am going to go darker with that. Oh, look at how pretty that is. Okay, this has a lot of the stems and it has the centers to our two largest pink flowers, and I'm going to use Lemonade Positively Saturated inks for that center. So let's get those done. And then I will use the sea foam. Oh no, excuse me. I'm using the ocean for the stems. That's the darker color. The next one is where I will use the sea foam, the lighter color, for all of those. So I'm going to make sure this gets lined up in my foil lines. I don't want to color outside of the lines. I moved it and have to line it up one more time. And then this is the last of the stenciling. I love these layering stencils, especially for people that don't want to color with markers or colored pencils or feel intimidated by it. This is the way to go. A product like this is fantastic for that type of thing. I love it. It's an easy and quick way to color cards, and you really could mass produce it and just, get all your foiling done and then just color each, use one stencil on each card, like use stencil 1 and run through all your cards, and then stencil 2 and go that route. For my sentiment, I'm using some black cardstock. I'm using Honeybee Stamp's Blessings of Spring stamp and coordinating die. It says, "May your day bloom with happiness," which obviously is a really fun sentiment and matches this background. I'm prepping my cardstock with an anti-static powder tool and using Versamark ink. This is an embossing ink, and some white embossing powder. I do have my heat tool on and heated up. Once my embossing powder has dried on my background, I will gently dust off the powder with a dry rag, and then I can use the coordinating die to die cut out my sentiment. I'm going to tape that in place. I also am going to trim down a black mat that's just slightly bigger than my card panel, and this is trimmed down about 1/2 inch. So it wasn't A2 sized, and I trimmed it down about 1/2 inch. I'm going to add some foam adhesive, of course, behind my sentiment. We're going to pop it in the top right corner or top right area. So I'm going to use my tweezers and get that in place. But look at that black and white against that. I just love it. And then I do have that adhered to a white A2 size card frame. And then let's finish it off with Gold Fever confetti. I'm going to add a few of those around. I don't need to do a ton because we've got that beautiful speckled aura foil, which you guys will see here in just a little bit. I'll show the cards up close and kind of turn the cards towards the light, and you'll be able to see how beautiful that is. So let's get those little sequins in place, and look at that stunning foil and that stenciling. It's so easy to color that. I love how that turned out. And then we have our beautiful die cut card, and here is that Crackle paste. You can see that it crackled. I love it. I think it's so fun. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.